So we're going to start today. Welcome to everybody. So as usually every Sunday, we conduct these meditation classes. Today is the turn to practice mindfulness of breathing meditation. Last Sunday, we had the vipassana meditation, the insight meditation. So alternatively, we changed it from samatha, it means tranquility meditation, and vipassana. This time is the turn for mindfulness of breathing and also metta meditation. So then this presentation I'm going to present here, it is actually for those who are interested to know the basics of mindfulness of breathing meditation. So they can have also theoretical knowledge and to have a broad understanding of the whole practice. And also to know the source from where this information comes. Actually, it is from the Buddha himself. We have this information in especially in Theravada Buddhism, which retain the authentic teachings of the Buddha. So, and we're going to explain according to that. So then, and there will be some things, some technical things we can learn how to distinguish every step of the meditation. So actually, this meditation, I will have explained it within 15 minutes. It's not complicated at all. So, but this presentation is there for you to know the technicalities and to have a broad understanding how this meditation is developed. So it is going to take 1 hour, a little bit more than 1 hour, because we also explain about metta meditation. Those who have already watched this presentation, they can skip it. They can join 1 hour later, because that is the time we're starting the actual practice. So, but those who also want to refresh their knowledge, well, already seeing this presentation, they want to refresh their knowledge, they're welcome to do so. So now regarding this mindfulness of breathing meditation, this has been taught by the Gotama Buddha himself. It's actually this practice which he used as a basis for his enlightenment. After he used mindfulness of breathing meditation, he developed vipassana, insight meditation. That was actually the means with which he attained enlightenment, Buddhahood. So the Buddha praised this meditation many times in his discourses. So therefore now we can see, for example, in this statement of the Buddha, when he says, this concentration, samadhi, through mindfulness of breathing, when developed and practiced much, is both peaceful and sublime. It is an unadulterated, blissful abiding, and it banishes and steals evil, unwholesome thoughts as soon as they arise. So therefore now, this meditation is called samadhi. Actually, the aim of this meditation is to attain concentration of the mind. So, because our mind is all the time scattered, roams all over the place and so forth, and is not unified. So we need this unification of the mind. Otherwise, the mind is completely lost in so much information, so much activities, and we feel actually discharged, as called let down by this, because we lose so much this mental energy of the mind. So therefore now the Buddha speaks about samadhi, concentration, how to concentrate the mind to bring it, to unify it. So as he tells, this flickering, unsteady mind, difficult to guard, difficult to tame, the wise person strengthens it as a fletcher strengthens an arrow. So therefore now, this is the aim of the meditator, to strengthen the mind. And the Buddha gives the simile as a fletcher strengthens an arrow. Our mind is crooked, as called, jumps from place to place. It does not go straight. So, and samadhi or concentration helps for that. And he tells also that this kind of tamed mind, guarded mind, brings happiness. As he says, a tamed mind brings happiness. untamed mind is a wild mind. So then our mind is wild, as called. It is not trained, it's not tamed. Once we tame it, then you can see how happiness can arise in us. So therefore now, generally our mind is a fragmented mind, and concentration, samadhi, helps to unify the mind. This is what the Buddha speaks about, oneness of the mind, or one-pointedness of the mind. And this is the Pāli word he uses. It's called cittase ekagata. Eka means one, aga means point, citta means the mind. To bring the mind on one point, that means to unify it, to have oneness of the mind. So now the Buddha explains in detail how to practice this meditation. He gives quite a lot of details. So, and he starts to explain about the sitting position. So, and he tells also how to sit down, fold the legs crosswise, and set the body erect. I'm giving sometimes a Pāli text for those who want to check it. So then now here it is to sit down in once, means, and folding the legs, of course, some people, they might have difficulties. We are going to explain some other positions, how we can sit. Setting the body erect is very important because the spine should be erect. So that, and the body has to be immobilized. That means we should not move the body. So in order to observe the breath in its natural state. So now regarding the positions, this is actually the full lotus position. You can see both heels are on the thighs. And we have also the half lotus position. Only one heel is on a thigh. And this is the Burmese position, which both heels are slightly far from the body and on the ground. So then you can use this position by sitting on half of a cushion, and you have to strengthen your back. And regarding placing your arms, you can place them comfortably. So you may place either your left or right leg in front. So then other ways to place your arms is this one, is comfortably, or this one. Now the hand positions actually doesn't matter. You can put your hands so that you don't feel the weight of them, because the concentration is on the breath, and the arms and fingers, everything do not play any specific role. So that's why these are unnecessary hand position. It's called mudras. You can adopt them if you like, but in this meditation have no special meaning. So then the concentration will be actually on the breath, not on the fingers in any other place of the body. So other position are, you can sit on the stool, on a scissor, that means on a large cushion, or on a chair. But in all these three cases, you can see that the spine is erect. And this is a not suitable posture. So now, after we have explained about the posture, the Buddha is going to explain about mindfulness of breathing, how to observe the breath. So, and this can be done as a serenity meditation called samatha meditation, in order to bring serenity in the mind, tranquility, and calmness in the mind. So before starting to explain all the, the techniques how to observe the breath, the Buddha emphasizes the place of observing the breath. You must know where to observe the breath. It is on the chest, on the belly, and so forth. But the Buddha specifies exactly how to do so. He says, establishing mindfulness at parimukha, which means around or near the face or mouth. Pari means around, mukha can be face or the mouth. So therefore now, why did the Buddha not tell in the nose, for example? The reason is that some people who have short nose, they can feel the breath on the upper lip. But people who have ordinary nose, they can feel it in the nostrils. So in order to understand this, that's why the Buddha did not put specific on the nose. Otherwise, people who have short nose, they might not be able to feel the breath in the nose because they feel it on the upper lip. So now there are This is the Pāli text for those who want to check it. Now, there are two canonical books who explain this term parimukha because it confuses some people. They don't know the actual meaning. And we're going, these canonical books means from the authentic books which explain this term parimukha. Here's on explanation. It says, this mindfulness is established, well established at the nose tip or at the mark of the mouth, which means the upper lip. Hence, it is said establishing mindfulness at parimukha. So therefore, here parimukha means on the nose tip or on the upper lip. So there is another book also, canonical book, which explains something similar. In this way, he sits down by establishing mindfulness at the nose tip or at the mark of the mouth, the upper lip. And this book says also, he does not give attention to the in-breaths coming inside the body. Therefore, any breaths you can feel on the pharynx, on your chest, on your belly should be ignored. So attention is to be taken, to be put on the nose or around the nose. So, or he doesn't give attention to the out breaths going outside the body. So you don't should wonder why has my breath gone now outside of my nose. So therefore now the place is very specifically mentioned. So because if one follows the inhaling air inside the body as it travels in different bodily parts, one will then be practicing elements meditation called dhatu manasikara in regard to the air element, vayu dhatu, but not mindfulness of breathing. Even so, by meditating on the air element alone or only, one doesn't even practice elements meditation fully, because it is required to also meditate on the other three elements, solid, liquid, heat element, and to see the correlation. Therefore, it can't be said that one either practices mindfulness of breathing correctly or elements meditation correctly if one follows the breaths inside the body. Hence, the Buddha advises in regard to mindfulness of breathing, let your mindfulness of breathing be well established in one's person at parimukha. When mindfulness of breathing is well established in one's person at parimukha, any inclinations for outward and vexing thoughts cease to exist. So now the Buddha used the verb establish, which indicates the placing and fixing of one's mindfulness at parimukha, implying thus of not moving it hither and thither or onwards and backwards to any other place. The opposite of establish is disestablish, displace, change, move, remove, etc., which is not the case in Ānāpānasati samadhi in this, in order to attain samadhi in this breathing of meditation. You remember is samadhi. Means oneness of the mind. If we move the mind up and down and so forth, so samadhi is difficult to be achieved. Therefore, you establish your mindfulness at the tip of your nose, where the air strikes the nostrils, or at the upper lip. Observe the natural flow of your in-breath and out-breath at the nostrils or at the upper lip. So therefore now, this is where the attention is to be taken on the around the nose for the in-breath and for the out-breath. Do not give attention to the in-breath going inside the body, so any place, other place of the body, so then, or to the out-breaths going outside the body. So after the Buddha explained the place of observing the breath, now he is going to explain how to watch the breath. So what are the techniques which we should use in order to concentrate the mind on the breath? Therefore, the Buddha starts with the first step. He says, ever mindful and breathes in, ever mindful and breathes out. So therefore now he says for the in-breath and out-breath to be mindful. Here's the Pāli text for those who want to check it. So In this case, therefore, you also ever mindful breathe in, ever mindful breathe out. For the in-breath, you mental note in-breath. For the out-breath, you mental note out-breath. How to be mindful? We have to use certain words. Otherwise, the mind does not know what to do. Whenever we feel the in-breath, we mentally tell in-breath. Whenever you feel the out-breath, you mental note out-breath. This is a mental noting. Mental noting means is inner speech we use in order to remind the mind what we should do. So it is like if somebody wants to go somewhere, he reminds us, oh, I should go there. It is a mental noting inside. In the same way, this mental noting, you use it to be mindful also for the in-breath. Whenever we feel the in-breath, we mental note in-breath. Whenever you feel out-breath, you mental note out-breath. This is very important, to direct the mind towards the breath and to be mindful of that. So you can do so for about 5 minutes. In-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. So you try to feel the breath, the natural flow of the breath. We don't try to regulate the breath to make it look artificial. We want the natural flow, the natural rhythm of the breath. Because this is not a physical exercise, it's a mental exercise. We try to exercise our mind. The problem is not with our body, the problem is with our mind, which is scattered. We want to bring oneness in one object, which is repeated again and again. And the breath is repeated again and again. It's easy to follow. We don't need to create the breath. It is already present. The only thing we want to do it is just to draw our attention, our mindfulness towards the breath. So to do so, do not use your eyes to pay attention to the breath. Some people, they try to see the breath because they want to see some color, maybe something, some shape, but there is no shape, no color there. So you can close your eyes and try to feel the breath. Therefore, pay attention to the sensation at the tip of your nose or to the movement of the breath. Try to feel the breath, to experience it through the sensation. Because if there is no color, no shape in the breath, on the air. So when thoughts or feelings distract you, ignore them. So come back to the sensation of your breath. Try to be around the breath and try to feel the breath. And mental note, in breath, out breath. So now, yes. So now the Buddha is going to explain now the second step. So he says, when one breathes in long, one understands I breathe in long. So sometimes we feel, breathe long, sometimes short. So that is, this step is to see more details. It is actually the same process of the in-breath, out-breath, but we try to see more details. We don't try to make the breath long, but to understand it as it is. Therefore, for the long in-breath, try to understand if it is long in-breath. And he says, when one breathes out long, one understands I breathe out long. For the long out-breath, try to understand the long out-breath. So this is the Pāli text for those who do check it. So therefore now, when you breathe in long, understand I breathe in long. For the long breath, you mental note long in breath. And when you breathe out long, understand I breathe out long. For the long out breath, you mental note long out breath. Long means long time duration. So we don't take count in inches or centimeters, how long it is. It is the time. So therefore now, this is the step, as I told you, to see more details. Because if we tell in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath, after some time you understand, okay, how long does this breath last? So we want to see more details. If it is long, we mental note long in breath, long out breath. But if it is short, the Buddha says, we can understand accordingly. That's why he says, when one breathes in short, one understands I breathe in short. We should understand the short in breath. And then when one breathes out short, understands I breathe out short. So for the short out breath, we should understand it accordingly. See, this is the Pāli text. So then, therefore, when you breathe in short, understand that breathe in short, and mental not short in breath. When you breathe out short, understand I breathe out short, and mental not short out breath. And short means short time duration. So now this second step, as I told you, is to see more details. It depends on every meditator. So usually in the beginning, the breath is long. You can actually, if it is long, you try to understand it, not to manipulate it, understand as it is. So, and then mental not long in, long out, or if it is short, you mental not short in, short out. You can do about 2-3 minutes like that in order to understand the status of the long or short breath. So then, and now going to the third step. This is a crucial step now, to see more details. And the Buddha says, one trains thus, I shall breathe in, experience the whole breath body. So that means the whole in breath. And he says, one trains thus, I shall breathe out, experience the whole breath body. So that means the whole out breath. This is the Pāli text, but here we have to explain on word, which causes confusions for scholars and meditators also. So the word is body, which in Pāli text is kaya. If you see here, there is a sabba kaya. Now actually kaya means literally body. So then, and this confused some meditators thinking we should change our attention to the whole body. This means our hands and legs and belly and chest and so forth, shoulders, and to go all over our body. So this is not the case because the Buddha himself explained what actually kaya means in this context. Therefore, we're going to see the meaning of the whole body, or sabba kaya, it's called, and especially the meaning of kaya, because that is what is confusing. So the definition of kaya in this context is given by the Buddha thus. He says, I say that this is a certain body, kaya, among the bodies, namely the in-breaths and out-breaths. So this is the Pāli text also. Now, what is the body here? It's not our legs, our hands, our head. It is the in-breaths and out-breaths. So therefore, sabbakaya means in this context, the whole bodily process of the in-breaths and out-breaths, and kaya, body, is used in a metaphorical sense. In English also, we use the word body sometimes in metaphorical sense. For example, if we say the body of English literature means the whole mass, the whole collection of that. And body, it is said so because the meditator at this step begins to lose the perception of the physical body and starts to perceive the whole breath as a body, namely as a bulk of mass of air. So now while the meditator breathes in, breathes out, slowly, his mind becomes so much focused on the breath, and the perception of the physical body slowly disappears, and only the breath remains in front of him. That becomes like a new body, means the whole process, a whole mass of air. He feels it moving in, out, in, out, in, out. So that in metaphorical sense, it is a kind of bulk of mass of air. So this is called losing the perception of the physical body and perceiving the whole breath as a body, namely as a bulk or mass of air. This happens in the tip of the nose, not in other places. So therefore, you also try to experience the whole in-breath at the tip of your nose and mentally not whole in-breath. That means the whole mass of air. We should not see only part of it, but try to see the whole process. So try to experience the whole out-breath at the tip of your nose, and that is a whole out-breath, and mental not whole out-breath. So That is the third step, to see more details, not to see not only part of the breath, but to see the whole process. So therefore now, here, one example with this whole breath body, it is attention has to be taken on the parimukha, as we explained. And the whole means we have to see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. That is the whole. If we see only the beginning, we know only part of the breath. If we see only the end, we know only part of the breath. If we see the middle, it's only part. But we try to see here the beginning from the time the breath starts, it's called touching the nostril, up to the point it stops touching the nostril. So that is the whole process. And the attention should be taken, as I told you, at the parimukha, not in other places. I give you an example here with a violin player. Now you can see if the violin player, he gives his attention where? To the touching point where the bow touches the chords. So that is actually where he should concentrate upon. He doesn't pay attention to the tips, to the upper tip of the bow or to the lower tip of the bow, because that is not where I call it the sound comes from. So likewise, the meditator, he gives attention to the tip of the nose, what the touching point is called. He doesn't give attention to the upper part of the, what it's called the upper part of the breath on the nose, or the lower part. He concentrates on the touching point. And he tries to see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So, and the difference is between whole and part, that the part of the breath means we can, a meditator can see only the beginning, or he can see only the middle, or the end, or beginning, middle, middle, end, beginning, end. So he can't see the whole from the beginning to the end. So, but the meditator who can see the whole breath, he can see the beginning, middle, and end. So that is how this third step, it is to see more details, to concentrate better, more and more to the whole process of the breath. And you can start also to see the beginning and end of the in-breath, and mental note, beginning, end. Beginning means when the air strikes the nostril, that is the beginning. When it stops touching the nostril, that is the end. Again, so that is for the out breath, is also like that. Start to see with a beginning, end, and of the out breath, and mental note, beginning, end. So therefore, when the air exits from the nostril, it touching the nostrils. When it stops touching the nostril, that is the end. Here, where you have actually beginning, end, mental note like that, and then you can see the whole process from the beginning to the end. You don't see only part of it. So then try to see also later on the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. Middle means when the air strikes the nostrils, that is the beginning, and when it continues for some time, that is the middle. When it stops, that is the end. So therefore, between the beginning and end, there is some continuity. If you detect some continuity, that is the middle. So, and mental note, beginning, middle, end. So, one more thing to tell, it is, as called, yeah, this is for the in-breath, and also this applies for the out-breath also. Try to see also the beginning, middle, end of the out-breath, and mental note, beginning, middle, end. So, one thing to mention here, it is that meditator has to use these words in order to direct the mind to be mindful, to understand the breath. Later, if he becomes familiar with the breath, he can skip these words. He does not need to remind the mind again and again what to do. So up to now, we've explained first 3 steps. The first step is just to understand, to be mindful, in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. The second step, it is to understand more detail. That means that whether it is long or short. The third step is to see the whole process from the beginning to the end. It's actually the same breath, but we try to understand it from different aspects. And then the Buddha speaks now about the fourth step. He says, one trends thus, tranquilizing the bodily process of breath, I shall breathe in. And one trends thus, tranquilizing the bodily process of breath, I shall breathe out. This means that even though the process of the breath may become tranquil, calm, quiet, serene, and relaxing, one should not stop watching it, but continue paying attention to it, to the in and out breath. Because some meditators, after they feel so calm, so relaxed, they think how nice, and they enjoy this feeling of peace, of calmness, and they forget about the breath. So the Buddha says, no, try to train yourself. Watch the breath again and again. Don't be just satisfied with little calmness you got. It is actually prompting, the Buddha is prompting the meditator to pay attention to the in and out breath again and again. So therefore, the fourth step is actually encouragement for the meditator to continue watching the breath. Of course, here there is one word who the Buddha uses. Again, he says the bodily process. The word body appears here. And we have to, again, to explain this because some people, they get confused because bodily process means, what is the bodily process? So therefore now this meaning of bodily process, we're going to explain it to clarify some points. So, and the definition of kaya sankhara, or bodily process, is given in the suttas thus. In this context, the suttas say, the discourses of the Buddha say, in-breath and out-breath are a bodily process. These states are bodily, are bound up with the body. That's why in-breath and out-breath are the bodily process. This is the Pāli text for those who want to check it. Now, what is the bodily process? It is very clearly stated here. It is an in-breath and out-breath. So, because actually our body breathes, and this is a bodily process, but it is not any heart process, how our heart beats, or how the blood circulation, that is also a process. So we have many processes in our body, which going on every time. So digestion process, thinking process, and so forth. But this is actually specified with the in-breath and out-breath. So, and again, there is another canonical book who says something similar. It asks, what is the bodily process? Kaya sankhara. Long in breaths, long out breaths. Short in breath, short out breaths are bodily. These states are bound up with the body in our bodily processes, kaya sankhara. So therefore now, we have to know very exactly that this bodily process is nothing else except the in and out breaths. And the Buddha says to train oneself to watch this bodily process. Therefore, one should continue watching the natural bodily process of the in and out breath at parimukha, even though it may become tranquil, calm, quiet, serene, and relaxing. Don't be satisfied with because you got to be calm and so forth. You try to enjoy that. No. Try to watch the breath again and again to observe it. So up to now, we have 4 steps. The 4 steps actually is nothing else, just to encourage the meditator to concentrate on the breath again and again. So the only difficulties a meditator might experience, the most common difficulty a meditator might experience is any distracting thoughts which come in the mind. So, but as I told you, we have to ignore these thoughts because the mind all the time produces all sorts of thoughts. There is no end. Ignore means we don't try to push them away or fight them or get angry with these thoughts because they are coming disturbing, but just ignore them. Don't pay attention to them. Try to pay attention to the breath again by using these words. Whenever the mind is absent-minded, use these words, in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. Try to feel the breath. Concentrate on the sensation of the breath. So then you can see the mind will come down. So these words, what I told you, are very important. This mental noting are very important, or labeling, can use it, labeling is very important. Later, of course, you can skip these words when the mind becomes very familiar with the breath. So, and the mind knows what to watch. But as a beginner, it's good to use these words to familiarize the mind with the breath. So although that is the case now with these thoughts, there are certain thoughts who may be very persistent, they're coming again and again and very distracting. So, and the meditator may spend about 5-10 minutes unable to concentrate on the breath because maybe some bad experience he had today, yesterday, and so forth. He starts thinking about that, and that occupies the whole mind. So therefore now in this class, we suggest also this counting method against distracting thoughts or feelings. Counting method of the breath, how to count the breath in order to concentrate. This is for emergency case, for those who have difficulty concentrating because there are many distracting thoughts. So hence, if there are sometimes distracting thoughts or feelings, you may try to the following counting method to focus the mind to the breath. So this method is very simple. So it is not complicated. For those who are good in arithmetic mathematics, they won't have any problem. So the counting method is now for the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 1. At the end of the out-breath, you put the number 1. And then for the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 2. And for the in-breath, for the out-breath, you mental note 3. And the end of the out-breath, you put the 3. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 4. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 5. You go up to 5 and go back to 1. So it's very simple. So some people go up to 10. But you try up to 5 first and see later. So then if you miss a number, you start from the beginning, again from 1. So now the thing is that I will make a summary of this method to see for you to have a better grasp. Here, for the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 1. For the in and out-breath, you mental note 2. For the in and out-breath, you mental note 3. For the in and out breath, you mental note 4. For the in and out breath, you mental note 5. Because there is sequence of numbers, if you miss a number, then you can catch their mind that it is absent. You very easily understand, okay, the mind has forgotten the breath because you know you have forgotten the number. So that is where you can go back to 1 and start again from the beginning. So this is effective method for many meditators. They got very good results. So, and this is a gross way to concentrate on the mind. So then, even so, this method can be somehow very soft method in order to calm the mind, especially for thoughts who are very distracting, over distracting thoughts. Maybe. So then, and then we have another method, which is also a tough method, counting method like that. So it is the same method like this. We can see the difference. It is not much different. So yeah, if however the distracting thoughts or feelings persist and are tough, you may try the following tougher counting method by repeating the same number of the in-breath and out-breath. So how is this is done? This is second counting method. For the in-breath, you mental note 1. And for the out-breath, you mental note again 1. Because you repeat the number twice, you are not able to forget it. So again, for the in-breath, you mental note 1, 2. For the out-breath, you mental note 2. So for the in-breath, you mental note 3. For the out-breath, you mental note 3. For the in-breath, you mental note 4. For the out-breath, you mental note 4. For the in-breath, you mental note 5. For the out-breath, you mental note 5. So therefore, you repeat the number twice. That is, you have a less chance to forget it. So here is a summary of this method. For the in-breath, you mental note 1. For the out-breath, you mental note 1. For the in-breath 2. For the out-breath 2. For the in-breath 3. For the out-breath 3. For the in-breath 4. For the out-breath 4. For the in-breath 5. For the out-breath 5. If you miss a number, you start again from the beginning. So, and then when the mind comes down, you may return to experience the whole breath. Because this counting method is a gross method, it's called way how to concentrate on the breath. So, and you can go back to the touching point and try to see the beginning, middle, end of the inner breath. And mental note beginning, middle, end. So this is how you can practice this meditation. The first method I told you is more empirical, more has to do with the feeling of the breath. Now the counting method is just in case there are distracting thoughts, you can use this to bring the mind back to the breath. So after the mind becomes calm, you can use this more empirical method. So then now we're going to speak the result. There are certain results of this meditation, and it is good for you to know what it leads. It's called, if one continues so, the concentration increases, and the sign of concentration is called samadhi nimitta may appear. So, and we're going to speak about the samadhi nimitta, the sign of concentration. So this is a kind of light which appears in front of the meditator if the concentration becomes very deep. So, and there is one word here, it's called nimitta, which many people, they think the Buddha never taught about nimitta. And this is just a later development by scholars and so forth. But it's not true, because they've overlooked many passages. We're going to show here some passages, but from the beginning you must know the word samadhi nimitta and samatha nimitta, this conjunction is called, these are words the Buddha used, and samadhi nimitta, this is what occurs about 25 times in the Sutta Pitaka, that means discourses of the Buddha, and refers to various samatha and vipassana meditations depending on the context. Here is one passage where the Buddha himself explains. He says, when one is devoted to the higher mind, adichitta, and gives attention to the sign of concentration called samadhi nimitta, his mind becomes malleable, wealthy, and luminous. Now he speaks about the luminosity of the mind. So, and this is, the sutta is called Nimitta Sutta. This is Anguttara Nikaya. So here the word luminous, papasara, is used to describe the mind that has attained concentration. So it thus seems that is in deep samadhi when the luminosity emerges. Because it's called adichitta, in higher samadhi, in higher chitta, in higher consciousness. It does not occur in ordinary consciousness. When the mind has reached a high concentration. For it is said also, when one is devoted to the higher mind, which means to the higher levels of meditative mind. Another word the Buddha uses, samatha nimitta. This word occurs about 11 times in the Sutta Pitaka. It refers to the tranquility, samatha meditations. Here she says, there is the sign of serenity meditation, samatha nimitta. Frequently giving careful attention to it is the nutriment for the enlightenment factor of concentration. So now the sign of serenity, the commentaries explain it, is serenity itself, as well as its object, which is called patibhaga nimitta, or counterpart sign. And the commentaries give 3 types of nimitta, of signs. It is the preparatory sign, which is called parikama nimitta, the acquired sign, which is called uggaha nimitta, and counterpart sign, which is called patibhaga nimitta. And the meanings of nimitta is a sign, a mark, an image, mental image, reflex image. Now, we'll explain now what is a preparatory sign. So this is what the Buddha told about establishing mindfulness at Parimukha. That means is the sign when the air strikes the nostrils. If you close your eyes, if you don't feel anything in your nostril, you have no sign, no indication what to concentrate. So therefore now this movement of the breath and the feeling you get in the nostrils is what is a sign for you to know, okay, here I have to concentrate. Therefore, this is a preparatory sign. And then we have the acquired sign. This is called Ugaha Nimitta, the still unsteady luminous image which arises when the mind has reached a high degree of concentration. And we have also the counterpart sign, Patibhaga Nimitta. It is entirely clear and immovable luminous image arising at a much higher degree of concentration. So, and soon after this luminous image arises, the stage of access concentration, Upachara Samadhi, is reached. So what means access concentration? That one is close to the jhana. Jhana, it is like, we're going to explain later, of course, now. And this is the attainment of the first jhana, if one goes deeper. So this is called full absorption or ecstasy. And this means, ecstasy means one gets this very blissful experience. And the jhana has 5 factors called the 5 factors of the jhana. That means the meditator in that moment has applied thought, only one thought around the breath or the luminous image, the nimitta. Sustained thought, his thought does not go anywhere except to the breath or to the luminous image. So therefore, any other thoughts are completely cut off. And there is rapture, that's called a high degree of joy, and bliss, a high degree of bliss, and one-pointedness of the mind, or oneness of the mind, unification of the mind. The mind is fixed in one place to the breath or to the luminous image, does not go anywhere else. So therefore, during the jhana time, there is applied thought, sustained thought, rapture, bliss, and on points of the mind. So these are the mental factors which distinguish this kind of experience. Therefore, jhana, ecstasy, is not an empty experience. It has this higher bliss which one experiences. So now the luminous image varies depending on the meditator. For some, it is a bright light, such as the morning star, a bright ruby, a gemstone, or a bright pearl. For others, it is like a moon or a sun. The reason is because different meditators have different perceptions. That is why this light appears differently. I will give an example here. Now, for example, here, if a white ray of light falls on a prism, the rainbow effect comes up. And it depends from which angle you can see this rainbow effect. If you see it from one angle, you can see the red become more prominent. If you see it from another angle, you can see the yellow is more prominent. Or from another angle, blue and so forth, violet is more prominent. So in the same way now, the meditators depend from which angle they can see this light. That's why they can see different colors sometimes. So because of different perceptions. The luminosity of this is the product of intense mental concentration. It is just biophotons, it's called. If you, I don't know how to refer this word, it is actually photons that appear in the meditator's mind due to the condensation of electromagnetic waves that exist in our bodies. Biophotons are photons of light with weak electromagnetic waves in either the ultraviolet or low visibility spectrum of light produced by biological organisms. So therefore now these biophotons exist in our body. So it is in a way the radiance of life. We can't see it except with very sophisticated tools which scientists have today, or in a very high concentration when the mind becomes very condensed. Now, in this electromagnetic spectrum, so when the waves are become condensed, then produce a kind of rainbow effect. So in the same way, condensation of or electromagnetic waves because of mental concentration produce light. The meditator can see this light in front of him. So, and we are going to speak about these electromagnetic waves in the brain. They are called brain waves, and we have different brain waves. We have the gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And in higher concentration are the gamma waves, which are prominent. And they are very condensed waves. They can produce what's called sparks of light in the mind. So then gamma waves are associated with large-scale activity of the cerebral network and cognitive process of high intellect, such as active in memory, attention, and perceptual organization, and can be greatly enhanced through meditation or neurostimulation. So one more thing is to know that this electromagnetism exists in our body, all over our body. Yet this is a Killian photography, which shows how our body can emit electromagnetic waves. This also is relevant to the plants. So this is called biophotons because they occur in biological organisms. What is basically recorded in Killian photography are the very natural phenomena in our body, such as pressure, electric grounding, humidity, and temperature. Changes in humidity, which sometimes reflect changes in emotions, barometric pressure, and electric voltage, among many others, would produce different auras. Especially the changes in emotions during meditation, this high degree of bliss and rapture can actually activate all this electromagnetism in the body. And this is how the meditator can see this light. But there are misinterpretation of the light by mystics and yogis and practitioners. So, and because the time somebody is not able to analyze this light, it's very easy to misinterpret it. So with Vipassana meditation, this is possible because Vipassana meditation is monoanalytic and is able to analyze this light. Those who have not the technique of Vipassana, they can misinterpret it. And misinterpretations are that this is the moral pure light of infinite consciousness, the cosmic light, cosmic consciousness, cosmic energy, God's grace, the union of man with the divine, enlightenment, the infinite ego, the soul, the spirit, Brahma or his grace, Bodhisattva or his grace. There are many, many names. It depends on from which background you come. So, because all this misinterpretation, as I told you, are relied not on deep analysis of this light, are relied just to experience, to enjoy the light. Once you try to enjoy the light, ultimately you are wondering from where it comes. So now to summarize, first the nimitta which appears in the meditator, it is this very soft light which appears connected with the breath, is not disconnected from the breath. And then if the meditator concentrates more on the breath, of course, this can become more stronger light. So in the beginning, the meditator should not pay attention to the first light, to the this one, because very weak. If one pays attention to it, it disappears. That means this light is a product of concentration. It does not come from outside. That's called, once you pay attention to the breath, concentrate, then this light also appears. It is a product of concentration, samadhi. The more you pay attention to the breath, the more concentration you put on your, what's called the breath, the more this light increases. And then that is actually who can reach up to the jhana state, when actually the mind sinks into the light. There's a moment when the mind sinks into the light. That is the first absorption. It's called full absorption, or this is ecstatic absorption. So I'm not going to explain more because the time is very limited. People who want to ask any other questions later, they can do so. So now, we've explained up to now this mindfulness of breathing meditation. We've explained about distracting thoughts also, how to ignore them, to avoid them. So not to pay attention to them. So, but there are cases when people, they might have some very bad experience in life, which make them very emotional. So therefore, now the Buddha teaches the meditation of friendliness, called metta meditation, to overcome negative emotions we have in our life. We're going to explain what these negative emotions are, so how to overcome them, because once one carries these negative emotions with oneself, it's difficult to concentrate on the breath. The mind is not calm. You might use counting method. If it does not work, that means the emotion is so strong. So you have to use this metta meditation. So that is also a method to concentrate the mind. This also belongs to the tranquility meditation, serenity meditation, and one can achieve high degrees of concentration. So before we start explaining the technique of this meditation, we have to explain some words which occur here, especially with the word metta. Because this word is translated in different ways, and we have to know what it actually means in order to have a better grasp of the practice. Now, metta comes from the word mitra, in Sanskrit called mitra, which means friend. Its real meaning is the disposition of a friend, which is called mitta, that is friendliness. It is a friendly goodwill and wish for the welfare and happiness of all, wishing, may all beings be well and safe, may they be happy. Means beings including oneself. So, and anger can be abandoned by the development of friendliness. Anger is a negative emotion which can place havoc in many people. It can spoil the whole day sometimes. You got angry with something or somebody, and the whole day goes from bad to worse. So, and to overcome anger, that is the aim of friendliness. Hence, the Buddha says, this is the escape from anger, ill will, hate, vipassana, the liberation of the mind by friendliness, which is called Mettā Citta Vimutti. And he says again, cultivate the meditation of friendliness, for by cultivating the meditation of friendliness, anger disappears. And this is the liberation of the mind by friendliness, frequently giving wise attention to it. This is the denourishing of the arising of anger that has not yet arisen, and of the increase and strengthening of anger that has already arisen. So therefore now we must understand that friendliness is actually to overcome this negative emotion of anger, hate, and I will explain any other emotions which have a negative impact in one's own mind. So one more thing we must explain, that metta does not mean love. Sometimes it's translated as love, and people confuse it. Shall I cultivate love myself and so forth? So we have to understand that it has nothing to do with love. The Pāli word for love is not metta, it's prema and piya. In Sanskrit, it's prem and priya, and in Hindi, it's prem and piyar. If you want to learn Hindi, how to tell love, here are the words, piyar and prem, not metta. Love implies a strong emotion of affection and attachment, which in turn can bring sorrow and fear if that love is not fulfilled. That's why the Buddha says, from love, prema, piya, springs sorrow, from love springs fear. For him who is wholly free from love, there is no sorrow, whence and fear. So the same he says about craving, the origin of existence and suffering, dukkha samudaya, making it to understand that love is a form of craving and attachment. Thus, he states, from craving, tanha, springs sorrow, from craving springs fear. For him who is wholly free from craving, there is no sorrow, whence then fear. However, instead of love, he urges his disciples to develop other noble qualities towards oneself and others, such as Mettā, which literally means friendliness or friendly disposition, Karuna, which is called compassion, Mudita, sympathetic joy, and Upekkha, equanimity. Most Western people, they confuse friendliness, compassion, sympathetic all with love. For one, it exists one word, love. They confuse everything with love. It's not so. We must distinguish between these emotions, which emotions have too much attachment, which have, as call it, not attachment, but very good disposition. Now, with your friend, you feel it is a very innocent feeling what you have for your friend. It's not like a strong feeling like love and so forth. So that's why the Buddha explains about friendliness, which is very innocent feeling, a very positive feeling. So now we're going to explain the practice. Metta meditation and serenity meditation. And this is the escape and mental freedom from animosity, hostility, ill feeling, antagonism, enmity, malice, resentment, bitterness, antipathy, ill will, anger or hate, fear, sorrow, jealousy, stress, anything we call negative emotions. Now, all these emotions are actually a form of anger. Sorrow is also like that. Jealousy like that. So we get jealous of others. Why? Because we dislike something in them. We don't like something. As called, we get slightly angry because they have some qualities or some other things, material things which we don't have and we don't like them to have. So, and stress is sort of like is a form of anger, because the time anger builds up, we feel stressed. Some very unpleasant situation in our life can all the time with stress, anger, fear, and so forth. Therefore, if you have anger in your mind, if you have hate in your mind, if you have fear in your mind, if you have sorrow in your mind, if you have jealousy in your mind, if you have stress in your mind, that is the time to practice metta meditation. And to do so, it is as follows. You can take yourself as an object of meditation, so, and wish yourself may be without anger. So if anger is present in you, so therefore you have to somehow pay attention to yourself or to your body or to your presence. Try to see yourself, to concentrate upon yourself and wish yourself may be without anger. So we don't just repeat words. We have to take an object, and the object is us. Try to focus on your body or any part of your body which there is tension, or you feel it. Can be on the leg, can be on the chest, can be on your head, whatever you want, any part of the body or the whole body, you can wish yourself may be without anger. Concentrate on that emotion. So if you, for example, remember episodes which happen in your life, how you got angry, you again take yourself as an object and wish yourself may be without anger. Either in the past moments or present moment. Whatever you see yourself, wish yourself without anger. So we don't try in this case to push away the anger. No. To fight with anger. No. We try to withdraw our mind from this emotion of anger. So once we withdraw our mind, we denourish, as the Buddha says, anger. In order to denourish it, we have to withdraw our mind, to remove our mind from this emotion of anger. So once you do so, you wish may be without anger, that means may be free from anger. You take your mind away from this stream of anger coming in your mind. And ultimately, you can see this stream goes away because it has no nourishment. It has no fuel to continue. But once you get involved with anger, you get you slowly get dragged along with anger. And then this multiplies. You are actually nourishing it. Not to nourish it, you wish yourself may be without anger. Again. After some time, you see the anger disappears. So it's no more there because you don't nourish it. So therefore now, you don't try to suppress this anger, to fight with it. We try to withdraw our mind from this stream, this force of anger. So if you have hate in your mind, you can wish you may be without hate. Hate is a higher degree of anger. So if you have fear in your mind, you can wish may I be without fear. If you have sorrow, you can wish may I be without sorrow. If you have jealousy, you can wish may I be without jealousy. If you have stress, you can wish may I be without stress. So this is how you can practice this in order to avoid getting entangled and dragged along with these negative emotions. So once the mind becomes calm, then you go to the next step to wish yourself, may I be happy. Because this meditation has two parts. The first part it is to remove negative emotions. And the second part is to develop positive emotions. So, and happy or happiness is one positive emotions which actually includes so many other good meanings in it. A person who is happy means he's satisfied, he has no problems, no worries, no stress. His life is so easy, so wonderful, so beautiful. So therefore now the word happiness includes one very positive emotion one can develop and wish yourself may be happy. In the same way now, it's called one should focus on oneself in the present moment. If a past moment come, you can remember yourself how you have been happy with your friends, with your relatives, or any situation in life. If such moment come in your mind, you can again take yourself as an object in which yourself may be happy, be happy, be happy again and again. Either in the present moment or past moments, can you wish yourself may be happy. Once the mind becomes very strengthened with this happy feeling, you can arouse yourself. So the mind becomes very calm and you feel satisfied. You don't feel any annoyance with so many things in life. So, and you feel so actually fulfilled, a kind of fulfillment inside you. So therefore now you can also share this happiness with others by wishing them may he or she be happy. Other people you remember, friends, relatives, colleagues, whoever is there. Whoever comes in your mind, you can wish them also to be happy, because our happiness does not depend on us only. It depends on other people, how they react to us and how we react to them. Therefore, if you have good relationship with others, if you have positive thoughts towards others, you can actually influence them. So, and these people are not going to trouble us, and we become more tolerant with them, and we're able to live in harmony with them. So that is why it is good also to wish other people to be happy. So, or if they have negative emotions, to wish them also to have to be without these negative emotions. So therefore now this meditative meditation, you can use it not only during sitting meditation, while you are walking, sitting, or do any other activities, you can do so, because if anger arises, does not mean it comes in your mind only while you're sitting meditation. It can come anytime. So while you're walking on the street, it may come. So you can immediately pay attention to yourself and wish yourself maybe without anger and anger. You can see how this anger disappears. So therefore now, while you're sitting or walking, lying down, you can use this meditation whenever you feel that you're overpowered by these negative emotions. So today I'm going to conclude this class. So